Hey everyone, we are making our natural sunscreen, and so for those of you guys who don't have the book yet, I encourage you to get it. This is the essential oil make and takes, and it is fairly small. I mean, it's about 54 pages long or so, but just so that you are aware, it's got tons and tons of really easy recipes and how to do stuff fairly well. So it's about three to four recipes per page. But let me see if I can get this in your screenshot here so that you guys, I'll hold it nice and still. Let's see if you guys can get a screenshot. I know you guys get so mad at me. Buy the book, it's not that expensive. So these are basically for you guys to be able to watch the video. I am going to be making every single one of these throughout the summer, and so that you guys will be able to see these on YouTube and have them at your disposal. The book really is just meant to be like a supplement to the video series, okay? So you can see it's a full color book. I just wanted to make it pretty and fun for you guys, and lots of resources. It has like a full equipment list, lots of resources for you guys where to buy. I highly encourage you guys to use My Oily Habit. They have pretty much everything that you would need for the sunscreen, all right? So it's on page 42, and I'm going to show you some of the ingredients so that we can kind of get moving here. Just so you know, I am using, instead of shea butter, we're using cocoa butter, and cocoa butter looks like this. It's kind of hard to measure. So what I do is I pre-melt it. So this is pre-melted cocoa butter. And it doesn't dry as quickly as beeswax does, but beeswax takes forever to melt. So I've just melted some over here. Now we've got our beeswax. That will kind of probably stiffen up pretty quickly. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about what we're doing and why these ingredients. Now, some of the drama surrounding this whole thing has been about our carrot seed oil, and that's the big problem, right? Because I just said carrot seed oil, and I'm talking about not carrot seed essential oil, I'm talking about carrot seed carrier oil. So a long time ago, somebody, they did some studies on carrot seed oil, and somebody misunderstood and thought they meant carrot seed essential oil. Now, carrot seed essential oil is actually very good for your skin, like exceptionally good for your skin. So it's not bad to use in your sunscreen recipes, but it's not a sunscreen. Okay, so it's not going to cause you to burn like if I used lemon oil on my skin and then went outside. I would burn more readily from that lemon oil, but carrot seed oil is not going to cause me to burn, whereas it's just not going to protect me at all, like at all. So carrot seed carrier oil has a SPF, a sun protection factor, SPF of about 35 to 40. So some of you guys are asking like this zinc oxide, and we'll get to this in just a second, but you guys can see it. Here's some that I've already made, and I'll pull some out. It's kind of like, here, I'll put it on my hand so you guys can see. It's like, zinc. You remember in the 80s? And it would go on like white. Now, you can actually, it'll totally rub in, so not a big deal. But some of you guys were asking like, okay, what if I'm allergic to zinc? Well, you may or you may not be, depending on what you've used. So you want to make sure you get the non-nano zinc oxide, okay? So basically regular sunscreens have so many chemicals in them, and they get into your bloodstream. And that is why you're having major reactions to usually even sunscreens. Now, if you get zinc oxide or you're using zinc that is a nano, that means it's going to get into your bloodstream. You want the non-nano zinc oxide so it does not get into your bloodstream, okay? So you can see as I'm rubbing this in, it's rubbing in okay, but because I made this with beeswax, it is waterproof. So that's like probably one of the coolest things about this recipe, and I'll get some water here to show you the difference here. So my skin, it's waterproof, and I'm gonna spray it, and you guys can see, I have like photographer's hands, so they're all jacked from years of chemicals, but it's totally waterproof, okay? So I love this stuff because it's waterproof, and I'm a white girl who needs lots of sun protection. So this is your sunscreen. Now, we're gonna kind of go through the ingredients here, but I want you to know that if you're gonna make a bigger batch, or if you think you're gonna go through something this size quicker, I encourage you guys to use some vitamin E. It's gonna help, like just add a little bit, add like a tablespoon, or excuse me, a teaspoon. It's gonna help make this last longer, and that's important to note. Okay, so moving forward though, I just want to preface something about the whole carrot seed myth and how everybody gets so upset about this, and how I've actually had some leaders in organizations screaming at me about this whole thing, saying that I'm wrong and that I need to learn more and I need to be more educated. Part of the issue is that they have been told for years that carrot seed essential oil has SPF factor. The reality is, and see, this is already getting hard here. The reality is that that's just not the case. It was just it was just a misunderstanding of terms. And so they will say, well, I've used it for years without a problem. Well, they haven't used just carrot seed essential oil on its own. I used to do that because I thought the same thing. I believed the same, you know, it's nobody was trying to lie to anybody. It was just misinformation, and got really burned from it. I would put carrot seed oil on my face, essential oil. Okay, see, there it is again. I'm not saying essential oil, but I would put carrot seed essential oil on my face every day for one summer, and I got really tan, and I was like, why am I so burnt? You know, like all the time. So just be very aware of that. There's pride involved, right? So like whenever somebody points something out to me, like in my book that's wrong, I'll share with you guys one. There was something on the hand lotion, and on the hand lotion, so this is, you know, it's hard. It's really hard, you guys, to see that you've made a mistake, right? And so I just encourage you guys to remember that, you know, your leaders are humans. They make mistakes, but sometimes they're just upset about it, okay? So in my hand lotion, I think it says, yeah, it says, just so you guys can see this, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says 2 tablespoons cups. It's 2 tablespoons, okay? It used to be 1/8 of a cup, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, so we changed it to 2 tablespoons because that's the same as 1/8 of a cup, but we forgot to take out cup. So just know that that has been edited out, but if you had an early copy, that's, you know, that's a mistake. You know, I've made mistakes that are so bad, you guys, before because of typos and because of misinformation, right? Like, there's so many things we learn. We're constantly growing. And so if I can say I'm sorry and I made a mistake to my customers or to my my students, I think that goes a long way for all of us to say, hey, you guys, I just learned something new, and you know, we just, you know, the world is constantly changing. Things get out there that are a little bit wrong, but I get myself into some trouble because of that, because I'm constantly kind of, you know, not going along with what everyone says just because they say it. Okay, so those of you guys who stick with me and are following, I appreciate you staying with me, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn and grow. And there's our beeswax. Okay, beeswax, if you don't want to use beeswax, this is what it looks like. If you don't want to use beeswax, because maybe you're vegan or allergic to it, just use the candelilla wax. It's from nature. It's really good. It's from a plant. That's an alternative. Okay, so I put 1 tablespoon. Now the tablespoon of beeswax helps it stay waterproof. You can omit that, right? So if you don't want it to be waterproof because you're not going in the pool or you're not going to be working out, then just don't use the beeswax, okay? Just do the same recipe, just omit the beeswax. So then what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 tablespoons of this cocoa butter. So I had to pre-melt it so that I could get my 2 tablespoons of cocoa butter in here, all right? So I'm just going to pour this in. It makes it so much easier when it's melted to actually measure out the amount. Now I've got to work a little bit fast simply because of the fact that all of this, our fun beeswax here is going to start melting. And you can see here already that it's, you know, it's fine. Just mix it up. If you need to melt it some more, meaning you could have done this all in a double broiler, you can. You can just stick it back in the hot water, which I'm going to do real quick, just while we're chatting. And I've got a little whisk here, which you guys can use a whisk if you want, or an electric mixer. That's totally fine. But then we're going to make sure that we add in our red raspberry seed oil and our carrot seed oil. Now this, you only need half a tablespoon of each, and these have good SPF factor, like really good. So the red raspberry seed oil alone has an SPF of 25 to 50. So you guys, think about this for a second. You know how I make face serums using grapeseed oil or rosehip seed oil or pumpkin seed oil? Just use this. Just use the red raspberry seed oil. It's incredible for your face. So just take one of my face serum recipes and do this for the summer. You're good to go. Literally good to go. This is a perfect face sunscreen on its own, right? So I would put this in a 5 ml bottle and put like 5 drops of sacred sandalwood, 5 drops of sacred frankincense, and like 5 drops of lavender. That would be like a really good summertime face serum, okay? So I want you to realize that you've got these oils here. Carrot seed is 35 to 40, right? So you could do a mix of these and be just great, right? There's your sun protection. So if you don't want to deal with the zinc oxide, then please just use these, okay? All right, so the deal with the zinc oxide, and I want to be clear with you guys on this because this is where it gets a little sketchy. Zinc oxide is totally safe, fine as is, okay? Meaning it's fine once it's mixed in. The problem with this stuff, you guys, is that when it is, and let me pour our carrot seed. So I'm doing a half a tablespoon of carrot seed oil and half a tablespoon of red raspberry seed oil. Once you open your zinc oxide, the powder is very, very fine and very easily can get into your lungs, and you don't want that. So that is the problem when it comes to dealing with zinc oxide, okay? Now notice how I don't have big ones. These are fairly expensive, right? But these are both 2 ounces of carrot seed oil, carrier oil, and red raspberry seed oil, okay? So again, just to go over for those of you guys who just got here, is we did 2 tablespoons of cocoa butter and 1 tablespoon of beeswax. The beeswax is just to help make this whole mix be, what do we want to say? It makes it waterproof, okay? And so once I open this, what I'm going to do is I have a microfiber cloth and I've wet it, okay? And I'm going to stick, and I haven't been in this video today, but I'm going to stick it over my mouth, okay? So that is so that when I open this, I'm actually not breathing it in. And you don't want to have your little kids hanging out. You don't want them all around getting with this stuff out. You don't want this flying everywhere. Okay, so the deal is on the zinc oxide, it's just 1 tablespoon. So I'm just going to dig in here, get my 1 tablespoon. There it is. We're going to cover this up. Now you can use like a mask if you want, or you can just cover your mouth. All right, so what you want to do, very slowly add this in and just mix it as you're adding it. Okay, and I actually forgot to put my essential oils in, but we can do that after. This is going to help this whole thing harden a little bit. If you used a little bit of jojoba oil, that would help too. That's considered a wax, and it's a great emulsifier. Okay, so as I'm pouring this in, what's happening is this whole mix is drying. Okay, once it's all in, what I do is just take my microfiber cloth and cover this whole thing over. I don't want this to kind of get on me or anything. So here's the thing. In the book, it says you can use 10 drops of lavender and 10 drops of manuka. Now, some of you guys, manuka is great for your skin, so is lavender. Really, you can use anything. Anything. Use sacred frankincense, use ylang ylang, anything you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 10 drops of cedar wood and 10 drops of lavender. And the reason I'm putting these two in is because I love these together. I think they smell great together, and it's just a good mix. Now normally I would 7, 8, 9, 10. Normally I would put these in a mix beforehand, blend these oils together to make them synergize. But really, for the sake of this mix being as much as it is, and literally being just 20 drops of essential oils, it's not a huge therapeutic value. It does definitely gives great therapeutic value from a aroma perspective, but it's just a diluted mix. So not to worry too much about that. Put whatever you want in, whatever you like the smell. Okay, so a note on citrus oils. Our bergamot, so some of you love bergamot. It's like one of my favorites. It smells so good. Bergamot, you guys, our bergamot is it's a non-burning, meaning you can use it in the sun. Not kidding. Like, there are two different kinds. One is I forget what it's called. It's furocoumarin-free. I can't pronounce that right. But that means that it doesn't have they've pulled out the constituent within that oil that causes the burn, which is very interesting. And it's great. So that's something you could use too. But let's say you wanted to use lemon essential oil in your blend. And so many of you guys got on my case about this when I was doing my body lotion. I put lavender, lemon, and peppermint because it's like one of my favorite smells. And everyone's like, what? You can't put lemon on lotion, you're gonna burn. Okay, it's not that much. It's literally such a small dilution ratio that you're not going to burn. What they mean by that is if you put lemon oil neat on your hands, so like sometimes like I have seriously crazy like sunspots and stuff from, again, being a wedding photographer for so many years. My upper hand that I shoot with has some pretty crazy freckles. So sometimes people will put lemon oil on their skin to actually help it brighten up, right? To kind of help get rid of some of those spots. Yeah, that's what they mean. You don't take essential oil neat on your body. Like some of you guys like to rub grapefruit oil all over your thighs. Well, don't do that when you're gonna go out in the sun. However, if you were making a lotion and it had a very small amount, I'm talking about like you made a 4-ounce bottle of leg cream and you put 10 drops of grapefruit oil in, you will not burn from that small of a dilution ratio, I promise you, okay? The carrier oils and the stuff that you're using in that lotion actually will protect you. So you could put 10 drops of a citrus in here and it won't negate the SPF factor, okay? All right, so as I've been talking, I've been whisking this. And the reason that I'm whisking this is we want this stuff to really blend well. The powder tends to kind of chunk up and sit at the bottom. So I'm just mixing it until I feel like it's good. That's why it says in the directions to use a blender. I'm making such a small amount, you guys. This is literally only up to here. It's a very small amount that it's unnecessary for me to do. I'm using a teeny tiny wire whisk and we're just whisking it like you would eggs. Now, if you wanted this to be not as thick as this one, you could add a little bit more of the carrot seed carrier oil or the red raspberry seed carrier oil. That would help it not be super stiff. But the things that stiffen up in here would be your beeswax if you wanted it stiffer. Like if you wanted to make we made just this past month, those little mini the underarm deodorant type things, and this would be great for that, because if you just added a little bit more beeswax, it would actually stiffen up great, or even add a little bit more of the cocoa butter, and you've got a really nice stick. You could make this as a stick. That's a really cool thing because it does harden up quite nicely, and then you could have a nice face stick. And make these in small quantities. Remember, if you're going to make a bigger batch, make sure you add some tocopherols, which is like vitamin E, okay? All right, so now I'm going to pour this in, and you guys should be able to see this mix as I'm pouring it. It's pretty thick. It's like cake batter. Delish. And this is going to harden up on me, and if you wanted to take like a spatula to get every ounce of this out, then you could. I'm going to do that because I want all of it. Let's see if I can actually find, of course I can't find a small spatula, but all right. And just know My Oily Habit has all of these ingredients for you, and they've got some really cool carrier oils I'm going to be talking about next week. Some new stuff. But look at how good this stuff is, you guys. This is like seriously yummy. Alright, so I'm gonna, now normally I wouldn't touch this with my fingers, obviously, because I've got some, you know, our fingers aren't perfectly clean, so if you're making this for a person that you're gonna give it away, wear gloves. But look at this. So I want to show you guys this stuff. Right? So that's how it goes on. And if you don't want it to be white, then just don't use the zinc oxide. The zinc oxide does help broaden that spectrum, because here's the deal. Zinc oxide has an SPF of, like I said, around 20 if used in this dilution ratio. It's like a 1 to 4. But it protects from UVA, UVB, and UVC. That's why people like this non-nano zinc oxide. If you don't want that white look, which I think so many of us just hate, rub it in more. Seriously, just rub it in more. It will rub in. It will go away, I promise. But you don't have to use it, okay? You can just get away with using, like I said, the red raspberry seed carrier oil or the carrot seed carrier oil. So I hope this was fun for you. Just know, you know, if you're using carrot seed essential oil and coconut oil has a natural SPF of about 4 to 6. That's what it's been tested at. And at 4 to 6, that's really like an in vitro, meaning like test tube test as far as it being and having an SPF, but it does have a small SPF. And so, you know, the thing is, when you understand coconut oil, it's good if you reapply it like every hour. So the average person, let's just take the average person, SPF means that if you burn, like it takes 10 minutes for me to sit in the sun before I'm going to turn red. 10 minutes. So that means my natural skin has an SPF of 10, right? Like at the 10 factor. So if I were to put coconut oil on my skin and it had a SPF of 4, that would give me 40 minutes. It's 10 times 4 of protection. So I would have to reapply in order not to get burned. Now, if I had, that's why the average, like if you had used an SPF of 15 and let's say you had a 20 minutes to burn, you could actually put SPF 15 and be out in the sun for about 5 hours. Now, that's like average, right? I'm like super white, and an average skin, like my husband can be out in the sun all day long and not get burned at all. So that's kind of, it just depends on your skin itself. And so I think there's a lot of confusion because people kind of freak out about this stuff. And you gotta understand, like, when do you burn? And then if you take something like this that I just showed you, has an SPF of about 35. Again, waterproof. So I say in here, reapply. If you're every 10 to 20 minutes, I'm giving you guys, like, seriously, that's not actually accurate, because I'm telling you guys, look, I don't know what your skin is like. And if I'm saying if you're swimming, if you're active, if you're sweating like crazy, consider what your skin is, all right? So just understand that if you are just hanging out, just reapply it every 1 to 2 hours. But this is actually pretty good. See how it's like stiffened up already? It's so cool. This stuff is like the best stuff ever. So I love it. And that's it. So I hope that this helped debunk some myths. I hope that you guys understand my heart in all this. So if you have some of your leaders that are kind of freaking out, just say, you know, it's just information. We're just learning here, and I want you guys to not burn. And this is National Melanoma Month, and I want to tell you, I want to leave with this: when you understand the amount of chemicals that are in sunscreen, meaning you guys have so many chemicals in this commercial sunscreen, they can cause so much more damage to your body than anything. I mean, seriously, when people tell you guys you better put your sunscreen on, there's studies that have been shown now that are talking about sunscreens, actual commercial sunscreens, are causing cancer more than if you just got a burn. I mean, it's really weird. It's really, really, really bizarre having, you know, new information. So this is all natural. It works, and you don't have to worry about the chemicals getting into your bloodstream. And you can rest assured that you know exactly what you're putting on your skin and on your babies. And I've given you alternatives to not use the zinc if you don't want it. But it's amazing. So you guys can see that in there. I get these jars at Hobby Lobby, glass, very easy to use. All right, that's it for tonight. Have a great evening, you guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye.